Today we're talking about aeroscreens. Now this has proven to be quite a popular subject, with a few people who've asked us about how to interchange them and some others asking about the pros and cons. So we're going to take you through in a short video how to install one yourself at home and what's good about them. So there's a couple of reasons why aeroscreens are actually really helpful, particularly if you're looking to go and do track days. Not only are the windscreens a very large front-facing area of an already very aerodynamically inefficient car, but they do produce an enormous amount of drag. In fact, a Caterham windscreen is very similar in size and shape to the rear wing of a Bugatti Veyron. And if you happen to watch that old episode of Top Gear from 1,000 years ago, they referenced it producing a similar amount of stopping ability as your average family hatchback. So it really is very draggy. So if you're doing track days, being able to take it off and put an aero screen on is going to make you a whole lot faster in a straight line. Now, track days aren't about producing lap times, but they are about having fun. Now, being in a Caterham with just an aero screen on really opens you up to the outside world. It makes you a little more exposed, which actually is a thrilling experience and it's well worth trying, but I would always recommend using a full face helmet if you're going to go out with an aero screen on. I've been hit in the head by a conker at 30 miles an hour and I can tell you it really hurts. So I can't imagine what 60 miles an hour would feel like. Another great reason to swap out your windscreen for an aero screen is keeping your windscreen safe. Again, particularly if you're doing track days, they are very prone to picking up stone chips. And anybody who's had to replace a windscreen before now will know just how expensive they are. Not only will you go faster, but you'll probably save yourself some money. Fitting them for the first time can be a little bit of a job, but there's a little tip to fitting them that will make your life much easier going forwards. So if you are looking to change between a windscreen and an aero screen quickly, we can have you doing that in less than 5 minutes. Now we're going to show you how. So the first thing we need to do is remove our windscreen. So to do that, first off, we're just going to remove the doors. Anybody who's never done this before, these literally just slide into place on pins. So we just pull these up and out of position. Just a small thing to be aware of, the perspex windows in your doors are extremely vulnerable. If you put them down somewhere where something's resting on the perspex, they will mold themselves around whatever it is you rested them on, and it's almost impossible to get them to return to shape. So make sure you put them down somewhere safe with nothing underneath them. Next, we need to remove our knee trim panels so that we can expose the nuts on the back of the windscreen. And they are, depending on when you bought your car, they will either be screws, at which point you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver or an impact driver to make life easier, or they'll be rivets, which is a little bit tougher, which you'll need to drill out. Either way, those need to come out, and we can find those just along here. Now on this car, we've got Phillips head screws. Before we can get at these, this generation car has a box covering the fuse board with a 12-volt socket in it, so we need to remove that. Fortunately, Caterham just Velcro those into place, so we can pull that off and it will just come out of the way. And then we're just going to get in here and undo these screws. Just like that. Now keep these screws safe, because we are going to need them later on. And this then will just lever out. They do get a bit stiff sometimes, a little bit of upwards motion, and this just pulls out. Before we remove the windscreen, there are a couple of things we need to take care of. First is windscreen wipers. We have to take these off. We do this by pulling these backwards and then holding them low down and just give them a wiggle as you slowly pull up. Just take your time and they will eventually just pull off. Next, we need to remove our heated windscreen wiring. Now, you can find those here. So they'll be underneath the knee trim panels on both sides. And how they're connected will probably look different depending on the age of your car and who last had them off. Now, stay tuned until later in the video because we're going to give you a tip on how to make this a much nicer fitment. So all we're going to do here is just unplug this spade terminal. Make sure you get both sides. Now we're ready to remove our windscreen. A little tip, try and make sure that you've got somebody else with you at this point, just to make sure that we don't drop the windscreen and damage it when you're taking it off. So first things first, we're going to be using a 5mm Allen key in the side of the car and a 13mm spanner on the nut on the inside. So unscrew this. And you should find the bolt will just push out. If not, just unwind it to pull it through and keep hold of this for later. Now, I would recommend when you undo the fronts, loosen them right off, but leave the bolts in for now. We're then just going to go around the other side and do the same thing. Now that all of our bolts are undone, we're going to lift the windscreen off. Now we have to do this carefully, and I would always recommend having somebody else around you to hold the other side of the windscreen for you. Now here, I'm afraid I'm on my own. So what I've done is I've undone the bolts on that side, and I've left one in on this side at the front, which will keep the windscreen from toppling over. So while I'm here, I'm going to put one hand on the top of the glass, unwind this last bolt, which I've now taken out, and then I'm going to stand up and slowly pull the windscreen off the car. If the windscreen's been on for a long time, you'll find that the rubber may well have stuck itself down to the paint. So this just takes a little bit of careful prising and it will come free. And when you do get it free, try and push forwards a little bit, because the car narrows as it goes forward and we don't want to damage the paintwork. We also have to remember that the heated windscreen cables need to be pulled through. So once you've got enough of a gap to get your fingers into, we're just going to pull those out. Now that we're free, we're just going to carefully lift this off the car and go and put it down somewhere safe. Now that we've got the windscreen off, this actually is a great opportunity just to clean your scuttle panel. It will trap bits of grit from the road that you can't clean when you're washing it normally. Now that we've removed our windscreen, we need to fit these retaining channels in behind the skins under the knee trim panels. These do a really clever job. Very simple piece of kit. By being bolted directly behind the scuttle panel, we'll no longer need to take off the knee trim panels in order to remove the windscreen and fit our aeroscreen. It's this that will save us all the time when we're changing them quickly at circuits. So these retaining channels are going to sit here. And you can see there are a couple of threads that are coming out of the bottom of the chassis with these little metal channels in them. So the first thing we're going to do is going to take a 10mm socket and we're going to take those out. Now that we've removed those, we're just going to take out this black channel. There. Now, depending on the car you have, you may find that you need spacer channels to lift up the height of your retaining channel. The really crucial thing here is that the threaded holes on the back of these line up perfectly with the holes on the side of your scuttle. With the channel now in place and securely bolted down, before we put the knee trim panels back into place, we're going to alter the wiring ever so slightly so that we can very quickly and easily reattach our heated windscreens. And what we're going to use for that is one of these. Now this is called a Wago, or a block connector. Now you can get them with 2 slots rather than 5, and 2 is all we need. But for the purposes of this video, this is what I've got at the moment, so I'm showing you with this. Now, what we're going to do is take our heated windscreen wire here on the inside of the car, and we're going to cut off the connector as far down as you can. We're then just going to strip this wire so we expose a nice bare thread, just like that. So we're going to twist these wires so they're nice and neat, lift up the lever on our Wago and just place that in here and snap it shut. That now is properly attached. So the reason we fit these bullet fasteners is when you're refitting your windscreen, when Caterham put the spade terminals on the end of the wires from the windscreen, they are too big to push through the hole in the scuttle. So effectively Caterham's idea is to cut it off and put a new connector on it each time, which obviously is a faff, and your wires get shorter and shorter. By doing it this way, these push through nice and easily, and we can easily locate these. Just pop that into place and do up the fastener. This is then safely connected and can be tucked out of the way. Now that we've done that, we're just going to pop our knee trim panel back into position. Now these can be a little bit of a fiddle because all the holes in these are pre-drilled, as they are through the skin and through this piece of trim. So we're having to line up all three. With all the preparation work now done, we can simply fit our aeroscreen quickly and easily. Drop it carefully into place and line up the front holes of the windscreen and just pop your same bolt that was holding the windscreen in place through here and carefully thread it in to the captive bracket behind. Now that we've got that finger tight, you'll find that there are two popper studs on the top of your scuttle panel, and the aeroscreen will literally just popper onto those. Just like that. Once poppered down, we're simply just going to tighten these up. And that's it. So there we are, aeroscreen on. However, it is the end of November, and it wouldn't be very nice of us to expect our customer to now drive this home with him. So we're going to put his windscreen back on. Let's see how long it takes to convert it back again. What? Top tip for fitting your windscreen wipers. It's really important we get these in the right place. The trouble if we don't, if you put them back on and the motor isn't in the right place, these can potentially turn downwards into your paint and can cause a lot of damage. So we'd always advise cycle your windscreen wipers so that the motor we know is in the parked position. You can then offer up the blade, press it against the bottom of the windscreen, and then just press down on the top there. That will ensure that your wiper parks in the correct location. It's really important that we get a good seal on the rubber here as it touches the scuttle. If you leave little gaps like this one, wind will blow through it and make a really annoying whistling noise. So we're going to make sure that we keep that flat. To do that, we're going to loosen off the windscreen bolts, pull it down as we tighten it up. And there we have it. In a little under 5 minutes, we've replaced the aeroscreen with the full windscreen and weather equipment. It's that easy. With the retaining channels now in place, you can see that it's a really fast and easy job changing your windscreen out for an aeroscreen. And the beauty of it is that this is a job that theoretically you can do yourself at home. The parts are available from the Caterham Parts website, and although it can be a little bit fiddly at times, it is something you can do yourself. However, if you'd rather not, just come and see us. If you are going to take it on yourself at home, make sure you get all the parts ready, and do make sure that you get the little spacers that Caterham supply on their website. You can do this with washers, of course, but we always recommend using official products. There are many different kinds of aeroscreen. The one we've shown you today is of carbon fibre manufacturer. There are also solid composite ones readily available from Caterham. There are also some clear perspex examples which for the shorter driver allow slightly better visibility. Some of the older examples, things like this Brooklands aeroscreen, add a real classic touch to your 7. And if you're going into motorsport, then the aeroscreens they use are half aeroscreens to allow maximum aerodynamic efficiency, no less? This was a popular question amongst our viewers, so hopefully the video we've put together has explained it neatly and done it justice. But if you have any questions or if there's anything you feel we've missed, do pop it in the comments below and we'll come back to you and hopefully expand on anything that we've missed. But for now, that's another Turn 7 short video, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time. With the I did that earlier.